Thank you. And now we'll move to the Waitai Coastal-Burwood Community Board report. Thank you, Kim.
Hi. Thought I was going to have to press the button myself there for a wee minute. Morena, Leanne, councillors, staff and community. This morning I have Joe Wells. Very pleased to see you at the table, Joe, our Governance Manager, assisting me today. We do have a Part A for your consideration today, and the board completely supported the staff's recommendation. You can see up there decisions under delegation, just one that I'll point out. We had several of them, but we approved some new school bus stops for the Avonside Girls and Shirley Boys High School students, so that was a good thing to be able to do. The next thing up there is Donnell Park. This bit here is in the red zone, but I tell you, it's been absolutely wonderful to have these earthquake repairs fixed. We had a forum, Residents Association forum, and one of the residents, when she was just giving the rest of the residents' associations a bit of an update, she got quite emotional because they just really appreciate the work that the council is putting into this, and to have something fixed in the red zone is absolutely awesome. It just really means a lot to these residents. So, yeah, good job, you. The next thing we have on the list there is the intersection here. If you're not quite familiar with it, if you imagine the Burwood Hospital, it's a roundabout right by the Burwood Hospital, and also the spinal unit for the Burwood Hospital there. So the New Zealand Spinal Trust came to us and requested that some of their patients in wheelchairs have issues with the roundabout and the access and the camber and the speed of traffic, and also the safety and just some general things. So we had a site meeting, the community board. We also had council staff from the transport. We had wheelchair users themselves, representatives from the New Zealand Spinal Unit and the Disabled Persons Assembly and the Canterbury District Health Board. So we had a really good site meeting about that. The actual intersection is on the long-term plan for about the year 2023. So in the meantime, staff are going to come back to the board in a couple of weeks with perhaps some interim measures that could be done to help life a lot easier, because what happens is a lot of these patients, their first experience is on that street and with that intersection, because they want to get to the dairy across the road. And so unfortunately, very sadly, one on her first outing actually fell out of her wheelchair trying to cross the road. So really is an issue there. We need to deal with it. So the community board has put a resolution forward that would like the funding looked at to be brought forward, because the spinal unit is actually the only one in the South Island. So we need to be looking after these people that are suffering enough trauma as it is without that. So it's really great that staff have been looking into that, and I'm sure we can come up with a really good solution there. The next up there at the moment, as you know, we are going through the South Shore South New Brighton earthquake repair process. We really do appreciate that this has been a real pressure for staff because of the time restraints. At the moment, the options have gone out to the community. They had only 6 days to provide feedback, and on Saturday there was a complete day drop-in held. And so it's sort of done a bit of a full circle as far as the board is concerned. After about the last 2 or 3 months, we've basically sort of gone back to similar options that were presented to the board a year or two ago, which the board rejected. It was part of the LDRP 525 plan and the South Brighton Management Plan, because those options or those suggestions wouldn't work, and they wouldn't provide protection or fix the earthquake damage that the earthquakes had caused regarding the erosion, and certainly wouldn't have provided certainty to the community or the insurance company. So the board has been disappointed with the process and the options presented at the moment. So I just felt that I wanted to try and help you understand the situation with this analogy. In the street that you live in, all the fences have fallen down in the earthquakes. For years you've been waiting for the fencing contract to come to you. Finally he's come. But his advice is not what you quite expected. Your fence is complicated. We just can't quite fix it yet. We will put this temporary fence just back here for now. But you say, but my neighbour over there has just had his rebuilt, and my neighbours across the street have just had theirs rebuilt, and there's another one about to be built just down the road here. And so surely we can just adjust their plans a little bit. So there needs to be some equitable earthquake repairs. The options, we don't believe, show that. At this point, it's not providing them with the hope and the surety that they're really needing at this point. So we hope that when the report comes back to you on the 22nd of August, we will be seeing something a lot different than what we're seeing at the moment. So this was great. Unfortunately, I was sick the day that this board meeting was held and we were presented with these awards, but this is really great. Nigel Cox and the acting chair, Linda Stewart there, presented us with, Nigel, I'll just say, he is the head of recreational sports and events, and so he personally came and presented those 2 awards, copies of these 2 framed awards to us as a board in recognition of the Taiora QE2, which, as you know, was designed with the input from the community and is a great recreational facility for the East. So congratulations to everybody that was involved, Apollo Projects, Council of course, and the staff and community. So really great outcome. The other thing we're going to point out here, we'll get to that one in a wee minute. We had some really good news. We had a briefing from the welfare officer of the Fire and Emergency New Zealand. We have an old, as you all know, the new fire station in our area is now on Anzac Drive, a fantastic facility. So the old fire station has now been taken over and found new residents in there, and so we now have the welfare officer from the Fire and Emergency is now based in there, and he came and just gave the board a bit of a briefing as to what he does and how he'd really like to be involved in the community. So really great to see that building stay in the same family, which is really great. And lastly, this photo up here, as you know, we hold Residents Association forums about 4 times a year. The Residents Associations absolutely love it. It's a real place for them. Some of you might hold them yourselves as well, but it's a real great forum and a space that the community can come and they can network and they can share their events and ideas and discuss topics of interest. And the last one we had was, we just gave them a bit of an update on some of the projects that are up and coming and a bit of an overview of the elections and things like that. So staff do a wonderful job organising that evening, and really, really good turnouts from them. They really enjoyed it. So that's me. Thank you very much.
That's good. Any questions? Sarah?
Thanks, Kim, and it's good to see so much happening in the area. There always is. You've always got lots of community groups and events happening. I'm just wondering, with the options for the South Shore and the earthquake legacy stuff, when your boards presented to us in the past, they've been really, really clear that they wanted to separate out the earthquake legacy stuff and get those kind of repairs and the back to as we were stuff done, quite separate to the forward-looking, I guess, the coastal futures sea level rise kind of work. But today you were talking about that insurance and the protection kind of levels, and I'm wondering, is there a tension between those two, the getting it back to as it was and still protection for the future?
It is prudent, isn't it, that if we're going to be spending some money fixing the estuary edge, it is prudent that we look at what that is, to say, well, if we just put a little bit more in it, then that could be adapted later. But the issue is that anything that's put on the estuary edge is not going to really restrict the adaptation conversation. The immediate need is fixing the earthquake repairs.
Yeah, that's good. It's just that, you've been very clear that you want those separate. So we're doing the earthquake repairs stuff now, but there's still the conversation to go that's going to do the other work.
Yes, well, you may not have actually seen the options yet, but
no.
The resolution is quite clear that it's to address the earthquake repairs, but the options don't, for South Shore, don't address the earthquake repairs.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? No? Thank you very much for your report. Do I have a mover and a seconder? David East and Glenn Livingston. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thank you very much.